Good morning and welcome to Daybreak Live on Dominion Television, Ibadan. I'm Manulu Akpo. The intersection of politics and the judiciary returns to the spotlight this morning as a court grants former Kaduna State Governor Nasir El-Rufai 100 million naira bail. And the ruling has already triggered debate across political and legal circles. Is this simply the judicial process taking its course, or does the growing number of politically exposed figures appearing in court continue to shape public trust in Nigeria's justice system? And beyond the headlines, how much influence does politics still carry in high-profile legal battles? That is our Daybreak gist this morning. We'll also bring you the weather report and Daybreak news, where the major stories shaping the country and beyond come into focus.
Hello, I'm Samson Balogun. Later we turn to newspapers, where the morning headlines capture the tension between politics, governance, and public expectation. From courtrooms to party structures, we'll examine the stories driving national conversation. Then our big story takes us into the heart of internal party politics with the discussion this morning, party supremacy or political betrayal, the debate over APC primary elections. Primary elections are meant to test internal democracy, but they often leave behind accusations of imposition, manipulation, and betrayal. So, where should loyalty truly lie? With the party structure or with the democratic wishes of party members? Join us for that conversation as Oluwa Kemi Ademola Aremu joins us on this show this morning. She's a public affairs analyst and a human rights activist.
And before we close today, Trend Watch will take us through the stories, reactions, and conversations dominating public attention across the country.
Politics is never only about power. It's also about process, perception, and principle.
And this morning, we examine all three. This is Daybreak Live, and let's begin this morning.
And we shall begin.
Good morning to you this morning.
Well, it's a wonderful morning right here in the city of Ibadan, and the political headlines are not slowing down. And that takes us to Kaduna State this morning, as former governor of Kaduna State, Malam Nasir El-Rufai, who was obviously in court and, he's been granted bail. And one would ask questions about how we prosecute criminal cases, especially ones that has to do with national security in the country. What happens to, follow-ups? In some cases, these cases die natural deaths, especially when bail has been granted. You just realize they keep stalling until nobody is really talking about the case anymore. And you could go on and on and cite instances of cases like that that eventually went cold because nobody's really talking about it anymore. And right now, you would want to ask questions about if this sudden turnaround where bail has been granted. I mean, if bail was going to be granted, it should have been done a long time ago since he was arrested. But then they kept pushing him from DSS to the police to EFCC and the likes. And at the end of the day, they have now settled for bail. So what are the conditions for his bail? Was his international passport revoked so he wouldn't be able to travel? Is he going to be under strict supervision by the security agencies in the country? Is he going to be under house arrest? Things like that. I mean, it should be well laid out so that people would know exactly what we are dealing with in Nigeria. And also talking about that, in some cases, people will ask if bail is actually a thing to go by when you talk about national security issues. But, well, it's a yes, because bail can still be applicable in cases involving national security in Nigeria, but it is usually more difficult to obtain because the court treats such offenses as very serious. And in this case, especially involving a high-profile individual in the Nigerian political setting, you wouldn't, expect less. And you just might, want to say that people who still believe in him, people who are still very close to him, especially in the political arena, would want to give him benefit of the doubt and, of course, give him some sort of respect. At least he's been part of them before, though politics divides them now. There's no permanent enemy in politics, and definitely there is no permanent friend. So you can say that he might be given some sort of respect. And also, some of the things that will be considered if, there will be bail, they will check the gravity of the offense. How severe, how serious is the offense? But me, I consider this to be a very serious one. If there is an accusation that the NSA's phone has been wiretapped and people are listening on this conversation, then it's a very serious offense, judging by the fact that of how fragile the security system in Nigeria currently looks. Your state and the southwestern states that previously looked like untouchable when it comes to serious security challenge is now undergoing some sort of scrutiny from other state and political commentators alike and security experts too. So that tells you how serious and of course how frail the security agencies in Nigeria currently look in the face of these insurgents. Also, they will also check if there's risk of fleeing the country. That's where taking his international passport comes in. They might want to take that to say that this will be one of the things you put down as your surety or guarantee that you will still be within the country to answer to your offenses. Also, possibility of interfering with investigations or witnesses. And I think that was what was done initially when he was arrested and he was transferred to the DSS, that he would not be able to go home and interfere with evidences. And that was where DSS had to go to his home to check some things. And I think it was ICPC that said they recovered some devices that originally should not be with a civilian. Also, what are the likelihood that there will be threats to public safety and national security? All this will be, will be checked. What if they actually listened to the NSA's conversation? How serious were the conversations they listened to? And during that time frame, what happened? What did they do with those, information they got? That will also tell on how he is treated. And the strength of the evidences presented against him in court will also determine, if this is going to be a serious case or not. Sometimes it only depends on how you address issues. But if you are pursuing a serious case with frail evidences, you might just lose the case, no matter how obvious it is that it actually happened. I could remember a politician in Nigeria. Will remember his name shortly. There is a standing rule that you don't prosecute the same person for the same offense twice. If you miss it once, that will be, of course, it will be thrown out of court. And I think that's why they are trying to tread carefully to be sure of what they are doing, gather enough evidences, gather witnesses, and then push this to court and see what exactly will happen at the end of the day.
Well, I think it's a development, and this is why I'm saying that, because I think Vanguard has it this morning that BSS picks up El Rufai after court grants bail and his family kicks. That's the headline on the Vanguard newspaper. But let's bear in mind that El Rufai has been in custody for, today will be, I think, 92 days. And that, for me, is something so deep. And that's why a lot of persons are questioning the bail conditions to say, are these bail conditions not politically motivated? Because if it was an ordinary person, I think we should have had it. We should have had the end of this in no time. But it's taking forever because of, one, the person involved is also a giant in the political space, and he also has interest in the forthcoming election in a way or the other, and so he could also call the shots in one way or the other due to his popularity, and of course we understand his political pedigree in his state. So let's put all of that together to say 92 days in detention. Moving from ICPC to DSS, it's almost like at some point he came out to say that he's not a furniture that can just be moved here and there. At some point he was even almost resisting the movements from one place to just, there's a subsisting court order. It's like there are two subsisting court orders that says I should be remanded at the ICPC office and not, whatever they call it, detention, and not the DSS. But DSS has come to say we have to take control over this case. And there's a lot of case, I think the lawyers are still trying to figure out and battle it out to say, where should he be? But, just like the Vanguard newspaper brought it out this morning, the family of Kaduna State Governor Malam Nasir El-Rufai raised the alarm after DSS officials allegedly took him into custody following a court sitting at the Federal High Court. And one of the things they are claiming is that the action was an apparent breach of existing court order, especially directing that he remain in the custody of ICPC and, yes, just ICPC. And El Rufai's second wife, Hasiat, one of the things she said I'm going to allude to quickly was that she said he's not been given access to his physician. And so she's making a claim for his health. to say his health is deteriorating and they are not giving him that much freedom to go meet his doctor, or for his doctor to come around, whichever way, just to check up on him because he's not feeling too, according to the wife, as she has, that's the second wife. And I also listened to the son. It was saying that this is long overdue, that his father should not have been in detention. Atiku Abubakar last week said the same thing, that, do something with Verify, release the guy. And a lot of people are saying that, is it just a thing of, if they want to release him, then it would be clear to everybody that it was politically motivated, right? It wasn't that every of those investigations they did was true, especially that they saw some wiretapping equipment in his house, according to the DSS, allegedly, and some other situations around this whole issue. But I think we've had it for a long time. 92 days in detention might seem so easy until you spend one day in Agodi, and then you understand the consequence of that on you. But I'm not just also saying that he should be released, and I'm not pleading his case. I'm not speaking in proxy for him. But I just want to see what will become of this. If it was true that what he was alleged to have done was criminal, then he should face he should dance to the tune of his music. He should really face whatever the law brings out as a sanction against him. But the fact that there is a back and forth, go to ICPC, go to DSS, is something I don't like. And it's not as if I just don't like it. I don't like it because it's not making it clear who is prosecuting. Because in every offense, there's a defendant, there's a prosecutor. So who is the prosecutor in this case? So if we have two prosecutors, then let's have it that, oh yes, so maybe it's going to be under ICPC, but we know that IDSS and ICPC are working together in this case, and they are the prosecutors against Malam Nasir El-Rufai. But I'm also saying that how I wish it could be clearer. Instead of just making it police, because now everybody is taking it, especially the people that are supporting him and Ahmed Rufai, to say this thing, you can see they don't even know what to do with him. It's politically instigated. It's not as if what he did was actually what he did, and they're making a case for him. And I think eventually, someday, I'm hoping that the president will intervene into this, and then maybe there will be a look at this things, maybe carefully to understand what happened. But maybe let me speak briefly to the court order, according to Justice Joyce Abdulmalik of the Federal High Court, who granted the bail. There were many things about the bill that I also saw, the shorty and all of those things that, I was laughing and saying, well, I think he would get those, it would meet those conditions for bail. But again, is the bill going to last? One, is the bill going to be as real as a real bill, in the sense of not going back to the DSS much after he has left the ICPC custody? And so those are the questions on the table of discourse. Like El-Rufai is also saying that he's not really enjoying the fact that there's a court order that says he should stay here, and then there's another person or another body coming to say we have to take you to our place. So what makes a difference? If it's with ICPC or with the DSS, is there any difference? Should there be any difference really based on what he has done? So if they have a bed in ICPC, for example, they should have a bed in DSS. I'm not saying, I think we can work together, and I think that's one of the things we talk about oftentimes, that the unity between organizations, parastatals, ministries, and departments of government should have a synergy, should work together, right? If it's okay, if we are still prosecuting you together, you can be with the ICPC and nobody it doesn't kill a fly. So let him just stay there and let's continue the case until we get to the end of it. Not just say, oh yes, once there's a bail application from here, we want to take him over to our place. It's like he said, it's not a furniture. Justice have its full course on him. If he had done something wrong, then let it be clear to the Nigerian people that yes, these are the conditions why you have to be detained, and this is why you have to be sentenced if there's a sentence in the first place. So I'm looking at this from maybe like different angles, human rights angle, to say his family, his children and wife, everybody's complaining that this is not fair. Let it be clear. So for them, if at all, of course they are humans and they are citizens of this country, if at all, let it be clear that he did what he did, and let it be so obvious what the sentence. Let everybody be able to read the sentence eventually.
Well, I will take it from where he stopped about why there's been back and forth between ICPC and DSS, and he's had to stay with the DSS even though he has a case with the ICPC. You see, the DSS, mainly derived their powers from the National Security Agencies Act, which gives DSS dominance over every other agency. As long as it's a matter of national security, the DSS takes over. And yeah, as long as he still has a case hanging over his head that deals with national security, obviously, the DSS would be interested, and of course they will take over. While he answers to other cases, that of the DSS will be the most important thing to attend to, because it has to do with national security. So regardless of who has arrested you before, if there is an inkling that it has anything to do with national security, the DSS will move in and take over the case, and while others will prosecute, but then they will still be the ones to take charge of all of this. And there are several reasons why the DSS will move in, and I see exactly why Madam Nasir Rufai's case, has to do with the DSS. Okay, if there is an alleged threat to national security, the DSS will have to take over. If there is a case of extremism, terrorism, the DSS would want to see what exactly is going there. And any case of espionage or sabotage, they will have to come over and see exactly what is being done there. Arms trafficking, incitement capable of causing unrest, cybersecurity threats affecting the state, political violence or plots against the government institutions, cases with interstate or international security implications, situations where intelligence gathering is considered necessary. So as long as this has to do with intel, it has to do with information that could harm the national security if care is not taken, the DSS will take over. And talking about the case of Madam Nasir Rufai, of course, it's no longer news that he made claims, some bold assertions on national television that he listened to the NSA's conversations and he knew he would be arrested. So they wanted to know, through which means did you listen to his conversation? Were you in the same room at the time? Was his phone tapped? And if it was tapped, through what means? Who helped you to achieve this? Where did you get the gadgets from? These are questions that will be asked. Quite unfortunately, we are in a situation where we politicize everything and anything. Okay, there is no better confession, there's no better evidence against anyone than the one you made by yourself, you created by yourself, and what you said by yourself. And you can now go on and say, oh, you did that under duress. But I don't think anybody speaks under duress on the national television. Unless you are being grilled or drilled by security agencies, I don't think you can come out and make baseless assertions unless you are ready to face the consequences. And I feel this is the challenge Malam Nasir Rufai is facing right now. Sometimes, it's good to talk, right? But when you talk too much, it gives you a problem, a very big problem, and you might just not find your way out of it. If he was, still in good terms with the government of the day, if he said anything like that, I bet it will be swept under the carpet and nobody would even see any reason to investigate him. But hey, you are on the opposing side of governance. There are things you don't say, regardless of how much you hate the administration or whoever is, has been placed as the focal point to lead that administration, which is the president. There are things you do not say. And there are things you diplomatically put out there so that there will be no implication. But quite unfortunately, he found himself in that very tight corner, and that also is a power of interviewing skills. Okay, when people ask you questions and you are not careful, you will find yourself in a ditch, and that's where he's found himself right now. I just hope that this is resolved as soon as possible. If he is found guilty, well, let the law, take precedence, and he will be prosecuted. And if it is that he just made mouth just to feel important on national television, well, what happens what happens when you say things that that can mislead a country? That's also an offense on its own. It's a crime on its own. So whatever it is punishment is going to serve, that will be the responsibility of the competent court of law to decide. However, I want to implore Nigerians not to politicize everything and anything, because sometimes you see someone commit a very big offense and then they will be like, oh, because he's not a member of APC, he's being prosecuted. Oh, because he's a member of the PDP. And we have seen far too much of that. We should just drop this childish act of politicizing everything just because you want to appeal to the emotions of Nigerians. It doesn't make sense, because at the end of the day, someone will commit a very big offense and then politics will be played and then nobody will talk about it anymore. I will cite another instance. Sheikh Gumi, for example, right? He's been an apologist of, these terrorists for far too long, bandits. And he speaks, I was watching a clip, I think that was day before yesterday, and he made some claims and he used the word us, meaning that he probably was counting himself to be one of them. Until today, till now, as I speak, I don't think any step has been taken. I mean, if you can make such claims, someone should call you and ask you a question. Are you part of them? There should be investigations. He's been the one that said, oh, he knows where these bandits are. He could negotiate with them. He could do this, do that. And till now, he has not been brought to book. And recently, he was meant to travel to Saudi Arabia for a pilgrimage. I think that was Hajj last year. He was sent back to Nigeria. That someone like him was not wanted in Saudi Arabia. A list of terrorist financiers was sent to the Nigerian government. I think that was under the President Muhammadu Buhari administration. And I feel like same list was sent during the Goodluck Jonathan administration. The list did not see the light of the day. Nobody published anything. Why? Because maybe there are cabals who feel like, if you like, publish. And then everyone just kept mum like nothing was happening until President Bola Ahmed Tinubu came. Whether the list was doctored, some names were removed. All we know is that at least 48 names were published. That gives us a leverage that we have an administration that is all bent on ending insecurity in the country, even though they are handicapped one way or the other. There are saboteurs, people are trying to sabotage their effort here and there. But the truth is, someone was bold enough to say, we have a list of terrorist financiers, we have a list of people who we feel are financing terrorism in the country, and these are the names. So when you see them, when you see their businesses out there, at least there is something they call, when you see that business, I mean, people would not want to do business with you because they know that every dime I give to you is being funneled through your own company to, of course, sponsor terrorism in the country. And that could end up, if I keep, giving you money, it could end up harming a member of my family tomorrow. So people would not want to do business with such company or such individual. And I'm really happy that that has happened. But then, having released the name, how many of them has this administration prosecuted? It's another big question, because you cannot just put the names out there and then you act like nothing is happening. So it's as good as, well, since you have asked for the name, we have given you the names, go and do whatever you like with it. We are not security agencies. All we can do is to talk on TV and tell you exactly or probably how to do things. But we can't, we cannot formulate bills. We cannot pass bills on the floor of the House. We cannot take, of course, we cannot use executive order because we are not president of the, of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. But what we can do is to help you enlighten the people on what they need to know. And that we've been doing day in, day out. You also owe us the responsibility of doing what is necessary. Prosecute these people, find them, whoever has to be in jail, put them in jail. But then robbing them, reintegrating them back into the society, rubbing their heads like, no, they are untouchable, for me is a no-no.
Well, I think you've made very valid points. And I would say that for one, we need transparency and accountability in all of these cases. Right. And I think I love the fact that you took the whole issue from the national fight to terrorism, financing to terrorism, because that's also on the table. We understand you can't make such statements without having to do with all of that. National security is at stake in this situation. So I guess that is why this is a big issue. And we've also said, and I'm going to say it again, that the way the Nigerian government and maybe the judicial arm of government eventually present this case or eventually execute this case would mean so much for this country in terms of future deterrence, in terms of people understanding that the body language of government is you don't do this kind of things, because someday, somehow, somewhere, someone else can come up to say, you know what, I know how to tap the president's phone, and then everything will still go down to the drain like this, that nobody said nothing. And I think it's very important that they do these things with utmost diligence. Utmost diligence is required in this case. And I just wanted to speak also to maybe the claims of Bello. Bello is the son of Nasir El-Rufai that is in the House of Reps. And he says something that I think I was trying to allude to the other time. He was asking a question, I'll quote him now. He says, who keeps a person for 91 days? Why were the terms of the bill so stringent that it is practically impossible for anybody to meet? Why do you have to say that Kaduna State Council of Chiefs will have to give an attestation? Those were the questions he was asking. And why are we saying that it has to be a government staff of level 17 with a house in Asokoro or Maitama, which civil servant has 100 million? He was talking about the bail conditions to say this is practically impossible for anybody to get. And I know for one that, well, maybe the bail condition is something that I might not meet now, but I think he might meet it eventually, considering his pedigree and his kind of person and how big he is. But the Kaduna State Council is what I'm not so sure that they will give an attestation to say release him. We are putting our reputation on the line to say he has committed no wrong. And I think that's also one of the conversations we'll keep having about this issue. But like I've also said, it's very important that we know where this story will end. Because for the sake of the Nigerian state, for the polity of the Nigerian state, and for the integrity of this government,
for the sanity of Nigerian people.
I mean, it's also important to add that we need this case to be well prosecuted to the very, very last point of it.
Well, I do hope that the government listens and do the needful, because as it stands, we cannot continue to have situations where cases will be prosecuted to an extent and then you just feel inconclusive cases. It's only sets bad precedents for the future. Okay, someone else will come, because when I had something to do with law a few years ago, I always love the fact that history is never eradicated. Is something that is usually referred to. Okay, you might have a case and then a lawyer will come and say, according to Okat and so in 1976, this happened. This was the judgment that was given. So that gives you leverage, in front of the judge and say, look, it has happened before, and this is what was done. So the judge will now use his discretion to decide. Oh, then we had this issue. The law is not that, but then now that this is this. Okay, we might adjust a little bit, but then it will be similar to what we had in the past, not too far off. So situations will warrant people going back in history to say, why did we do this now when we did that in the past? And people will ask questions. So posterity will eventually judge everyone. But I just want to implore the federal government to make sure that the judiciary is an independent arm of government. Okay, it doesn't have to be, merged with the executive. And then we'll be like, we don't even have a judiciary in the country. That, for me, is something that will help Nigeria progress. Because if you know that, as an average Nigerian, you can walk to a lawyer, go to court, win your case, and you don't have to give anybody a dime. You don't really have to go beg anyone in the middle of the night to help you sort some things out. You are sure that you have evidences, you are sure you didn't do it, you should be sure that you get justice at the end of the day. But as long as that is there, I think we will find a way forward. And also, there are too many court cases, especially electoral court cases, and I feel like this new electoral act is working a little bit to reduce any form of post-election crisis, because that for me is distraction. A governor that has been elected will have to face a lot of court cases, and we will leave governance and we'll start to look at how we can retain power, stay in office. For me, only the Nigerian people will bear the brunt of all of that. And also, there are too many people, congested, prisons in Nigeria, correction centers. And the basic reason is because they don't have too many judges to sort these cases out. Some of them are even awaiting trial, and they have spent more than they would have gotten even if the case was actually, done with in the first place. So let's look at how we can decongest our prisons and, expand the judiciary system so that we'll not just have innocent Nigerians, languishing in abject poverty and languishing in Nigerian prisons, where, of course, this the fault of the government that we do not have enough judges to, sort these cases out.
Finally, I'll just put a pen to that to say, I remember, but it's very important that we talk about the integrity of the judiciary of the country. But again, what do you say to lawyers and judicial members singing on your mandate we shall stand?
Well, I think, you can't fault lawyers for belonging to any political party.
They were having a judicial council meeting, sort of, and then the president was invited, also he was there, and then they were singing. I think personally that should never happen. That's
the place where we need to work on reducing sycophants in our society. Praise singing is the order of the day, and is almost everywhere, not just in the presidency or anywhere, even in establishments, in private establishments. You see people who sing praises. Why? Because they want to be in the good books. When you see the right thing, you cannot talk because you don't want to offend anyone. And that for me does not help any system. Okay, no system grows when everyone is afraid of saying this is the right thing, let's do this. And if you want to massage anybody's ego, you are going to be in trouble at the end of it because the problem will come back to you. The bulk of it will be on your table. And for lawyers who are singing on your mandates, we shall stand. We will all see where this ends. We will see where it leads us. But the truth is, you can belong to any political party. It does not mean that every one of them singing on your mandate we shall stand belong to the APC. Some of them are even members of ADC. I could remember Olumide Akpata, for example, contested to be governor of Edo State under Labour Party in the 2023 general election. So, is he a member of the APC? I would say no. And there are other people like that. There are people who are loyal to Peter Obi, loyal to this, loyal to that because of affiliations or tribal sentiment, religious sentiments too. People who have reasons to belong to, regardless of how strong or how weak that person is, they will still have sentiments for that person. So it might just be an honor, a way to honor the president when they sang, or some people will even think that will be like, what's going on here? And another thing is, you could remember there was a time the first lady went to Edo State and then they were singing a song, now our mama be this yo. There was a particular girl in the audience that was doing now your mama be this yo. That she's not my own mother. I know my mother. So there will be people like that in the audience who don't really care. They might just join the bandwagon and for the fun of it. But then at the end of the day, they know exactly where they belong. And that's another case you need to treat. If you are doing your electoral campaign, you are seeing a multitude of people because you have money. At the end of the day, your vote on the ballot will count. And then you will know that you don't really have anybody. Because the same people that went to APC rally, will go to PDP rally, will go to NDC rally, people are fun-loving. Nigerians are fun-loving. They just want to see what is going on there. And tell me, you are saying, oh, you are bringing Thai currency. You want to bring Pasuma. You are bringing Q-Dot, for example. They want to see, for them, it's an event to marry. They have just come to entertain, to be entertained. So for me, it's not really. I don't care about how many people you have brought to the campaign venue. I care about how much vote you are going to get at the end of the day, and that for me will be when the 2027 general election eventually comes. Whoever gets the ticket of the party should not bank too much on the crowd you are seeing. Go and do your grassroots. Are you acceptable even in your own? Yesterday, primary elections were conducted. Rocha Sokorocha lost by a landslide, and a lot of notable individuals. Ned Nwoko lost to Okowa, and it was not just by. There was a place Okowa had thousands of votes, and Ned Nwoko had just 3. It tells how acceptable are you to your own people. It's not about manipulation anymore, it's about acceptability. All right, and it's a convenient place to leave that topic this morning. We say thank you for being a part of the show so far. It is time we take weather report on this show, and of course we'll be starting with the ancient city of Ibadan. Right now in the city of Ibadan, weather is currently quite cool, and it is at 24 degrees Celsius. But later in the morning, there will be a rise by 4 degrees Celsius to 28 degrees Celsius. It will be mostly cloudy, and the humidity will be at 4%. In the afternoon, humidity rises to 21%. It will be cloudy, and there will be another rise by 4% to 32 degrees Celsius right there in the afternoon. In the evening, it drops to 26 degrees Celsius, mostly cloudy. Humidity drops to 5%, while overnight there will be a slight drop to 25 degrees Celsius. It will be mostly cloudy and humidity at 13% in the ancient city of Ibadan today.
I think there's a repeat of what happened in Ibadan and Lagos today, this morning, because it starts with showers in Lagos State today. But the weather feels averagely at 30 degrees Celsius. And then in the morning, 28 degrees Celsius with a promise of showers of 51% humidity. In the afternoon, it will further rise to 30 degrees Celsius by 2 degrees Celsius increase, especially it will be mostly cloudy across many parts of Lagos. And in the evening, it will still remain mostly cloudy, but drops back to 28 degrees Celsius. And the further drop overnight by just 1 degree Celsius to 27 degrees Celsius to become mostly cloudy in Lagos State today.
All right, away from Lagos, we move straight to Ogun. This morning, what does the weather look like in Abeokuta North in Ogun State? As we speak, weather is currently at 25 degrees Celsius, just like in Ibadan. It is quite cool in Abeokuta, but later in the morning, rises by 4 degrees Celsius to 29 degrees Celsius. It will be mostly cloudy and humidity will be at 21%. It rises further to 32 degrees Celsius in the afternoon, remaining mostly cloudy, humidity at 13%. but there will be a drop to 27 degrees Celsius in the evening. It will be partly cloudy, and humidity also drops drastically to 4%, while overnight it will drop further to 25 degrees Celsius. It will be mostly cloudy, and humidity returns to 13%, just like in the afternoon in Abeokuta today.
And from Abeokuta now to Ekiti Southwest, in Ekiti Southwest, the weather will feel like 23 degrees Celsius across the board. And in the morning, 27 degrees Celsius expected to be cloudy. Then in the afternoon, it will rise by 3 degrees Celsius to 30 degrees Celsius to become mostly cloudy. And then it will still be mostly cloudy, although a sharp drop from 30 to 24, that's 6 degrees Celsius drop in the evening. And overnight, a further drop of just 1 degree Celsius will make the weather foggy across Ekiti Southwest today.
Right away from Ekiti, we move straight to the north central this morning, and that takes us to Ilori in Kwara State. As we speak, weather in Ilori is currently at 24 degrees Celsius. Just like in Ibadan, there will be a rise by 4 degrees Celsius to 28 degrees Celsius later in the morning. It will be cloudy and humidity will be at 2%. It will be mostly cloudy in the afternoon as weather rises by another 4 degrees Celsius to 32 degrees Celsius. And of course, humidity will rise as high as 24%. But it will be partly cloudy in the evening as weather drops to 27 degrees Celsius. Humidity also drops drastically to 2%, while overnight it will be mostly cloudy. A further drop to 25 degrees Celsius, and humidity will be at 20% right there in Ilori, Kwara State today.
And let's see what we have in the largest states in the country. That's Niger State, Suleja. 24 degrees Celsius is what the weather will be like average. It's going to be cloudy across many parts. And in the morning, 27 degrees Celsius is what it starts with. Expect to be partly cloudy. And it will rise again to 32 degrees Celsius, a 5 degrees Celsius increase to become partly cloudy. And then to remain mostly cloudy all through the evening, although it dropped back to 27 degrees Celsius that it started with in the morning. And overnight, a further drop to 25 degrees Celsius, about 2 degrees Celsius, to remain mostly cloudy at 3% humidity in Suleja, Niger State today.
Today in Kano, weather is currently at 29 degrees Celsius. As we speak, it is partly cloudy in Kano. And later in the morning rises further to 32 degrees Celsius. It will be sunny with zero chance of humidity right there in Kano today. And later in the morning, later in the afternoon, it rises further by 5 degrees Celsius to 37 degrees Celsius. It will be partly cloudy. Humidity will be at 23%. And it will remain partly cloudy in the evening as weather drops to 30 degrees Celsius. And of course, humidity rises by a percentage to 24% right there in Kano. And overnight, it will be mostly cloudy, humidity at 4%, and it drops to 27 degrees Celsius in Kano today.
And from Kano to Maiduguri, Borno State, the weather will be fair, although in the morning it will be very sunny, mostly sunny around 34 degrees Celsius. And in the afternoon, it will rise further to 38 degrees Celsius, 4 degrees Celsius up to become mostly cloudy. And then to become partly cloudy in the evening, although a sharp and significant drop to 30 degrees Celsius, dropping 8 degrees Celsius downward to become partly cloudy. And overnight, a further drop of 2 degrees Celsius to become partly cloudy at 1% humidity in Maiduguri, Borno State today.
All right, I think that will be all we can take on weather reports this morning. We say thank you for being a part of the show so far. Do also link up with us on all socials, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok at Dominion Broadcast, and on X, formerly Twitter, at Dominioncast. You can also watch us live on our website at www.dominion.org.ng, dominion.org.ng. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, like our Facebook page, and drop your comments. We'll take them on this show. Still to come, we've got Daybreak news for you, and there will be newspaper headlines and analysis, while we'll also take you through the big story and trend watch on Daybreak Live this morning. Keep it locked on this dial. Let's go on a quick break. When we return, we'll take the news. We'll be back.
Live from the heart of the action. Welcome to the nerve center of Next Level Broadcasting.
This is the OB van, where the studio meets the street.
Equipped with cutting-edge cameras, crystal clear audio, real-time switching, and broadcast control, we don't just capture moments, we deliver the experience live.
Anywhere anywhere, anytime, from stadiums to red carpets, breaking news to buzzing festivals, weddings, birthdays, and all sorts of ceremonies. We bring the world to your screen in real time.
It's not just a van, it's a complete mobile production house, a command center, a broadcast beast.
This is more than a broadcast. This is the OB Van difference. Live, loud, limitless.
Ready to go live? Like never before. Book the OB Van today and take your event to the world. One powerful broadcast at a time.
To book, call 0705 506 1061 or 0916 101 1061. Email marketing@dominion.org.ng or visit our socials on Instagram @Dominion Broadcast.
Dominion Broadcast, your channel of choice.
Need a professional space to bring your vision to life? Dominion Television Studios offers state-of-the-art facilities perfect for your next broadcast, commercial, corporate video, or live event. With flexible rental options, cutting-edge equipment, and a supportive team, we provide the perfect environment for high-quality productions. Unleash your creativity. For bookings, email us at marketing@dominion.org.ng. Call us on 0705 506 1061 or 0916 101 1061. Check us out on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and TikTok @Dominion Broadcast and on X @DominionCast. Book your space today. Dominion Television, your channel of choice.
Hello and welcome to Daybreak News on Dominion Television, Ibadan. I am Anu Luakpo Idu. The Minister of Education, Tunji Alausa, has said that about 80% of donor funding for education over the past decade went to the Northwest and Northeast, despite the regions recording the lowest literacy and numeracy levels. Alausa disclosed this at the Education World Forum in London, where he met with global education stakeholders to discuss Nigeria's learning reforms. He said the federal government now relies on improved data systems to guide education funding and planning more effectively. According to the minister, interventions in literacy and numeracy are being expanded across several states through the Universal Basic Education Commission. The Nigerian Association of Resident Doctors has warned of possible industrial unrest over increasing attacks on healthcare workers across the country. In a statement, NARD President Mohammed Suleiman called for stricter protection measures in hospitals nationwide. The association demanded compensation for victims of assault and destruction of property, alongside improved security across health facilities. NARD also urged the federal government to issue an executive order mandating the prosecution of anyone who attacks healthcare workers or invades medical centers. Amid growing concerns over insecurity following the reported attack and abduction involving school children in Orire local government area of Oyo State, Governor Seyi Makinde has inaugurated a specialized violent crime response unit of the Nigeria Police Force aimed at tackling kidnapping and other violent crimes across the state. Our correspondent, Damilola Daudu, has the details.
The governor of Oyo State, Seyi Makinde, has inaugurated the newly established Violent Crime Response Unit of the Nigerian Police Force, describing the initiative as a timely intervention against rising cases of kidnapping and violent crimes across the country. The inauguration took place at the Oyo State Police Command Headquarters in Eleyele, Ibadan. Governor Makinde, in his address, said the creation of the Specialized Tactical Squad reflects the determination of both the state government and security agencies to strengthen Oyo State security architecture.
The establishment of this specialized violent crime response unit is therefore a welcome development. It represents a more intelligence-driven, professional, and rapid response approach to tackling violent crimes. I'm particularly encouraged by the emphasis on professionalism, tactical preparedness, accountability, and respect for human rights in the operation of this unit. Let me assure the Nigeria Police Force and all security agencies operating in Oyo State that this administration will continue to provide the necessary support required to strengthen our collective capacity to protect lives and property. Security is not the responsibility of government alone. It is a shared duty. So we must continue to encourage citizens to remain vigilant, share timely information with security agencies, and work together to isolate criminal elements wherever they may be.
He stated that discussions with the Commissioner of the Police indicate that the VCRU is the first unit of its kind in Southwest region. According to the governor, the establishment of the unit became even more significant in light of the recent security concerns, particularly the reported abduction incident involving children in Orire local government area. He said the development has caused deep concern among residents and affected families, adding that the government is in collaboration with security agencies to ascertain the full circumstance surrounding the incident. The governor noted that the incident underscored the need for constant vigilance, stressing that security should never be taken for granted. Makinde said the incident should remind the people that security is not the business of government alone. He urged the people to report any strange movement in their vicinity, noting that the establishment of the elite unit is timely.
Be watchful about your environment. When you see any strange movement or any strange behavior, please report it.
Damilola Daudu reporting for Dominion News.
Meanwhile, Oyo State Governor Engineer Seyi Makinde has confirmed the killing of one of the teachers abducted in Hauru Dada community. And moving on, Oyo State Governor Engineer Seyi Makinde has confirmed the killing of one of the three teachers abducted in Hauru Dada community, Orire local government area. The governor disclosed this after a security meeting with advisors and service commanders over the abduction of teachers and pupils in the area. Makinde expressed condolences to the family of the deceased and sympathized with members of the rescue team, including soldiers, Amotekun operatives, and local vigilantes injured during operations. He revealed that the operations and operatives encountered improvised explosive devices allegedly planted by the abductors. And away from the pace at the state, gunshots disrupted the All Progressives Congress APC senatorial primaries in parts of Ondo Central Senatorial District following an invasion by suspected political thugs. The incident occurred in Ward 5, Okelisa area of Akure, where supporters of Senator Adeniyi Adegbomire were reportedly attacked. Adegbomire, who is seeking the party's ticket, escaped unhurt after his vehicle was allegedly shot at during the violence. The attack forced journalists, traders, and pupils in the area to flee for safety while voting and counting processes were disrupted. The senator described the exercise as sabotage, alleging that thugs were deployed to prevent his supporters from participating in the primaries. And in business, the Central Bank of Nigeria (CBN) has said that the majority of Nigerians are calling for a reduction in interest rates ahead of the Monetary Policy Committee meetings scheduled for May 19th and 20th, 2026. In its April 2026 inflation expectation survey, the Apex Bank says that 3.3% of respondents supported a cut in interest rate despite ongoing inflationary pressures. Reports also show that 26% preferred rates to remain unchanged, while 10.7% backed a further increase. The CBN said the findings reflect public sentiment on borrowing costs as policymakers prepare for the upcoming monetary policy review. And in sports, Nigeria has ended the 24th African Athletics Championships with a total of 12 medals after the women's 4x400 meters relay team won gold on the final day. The quartet of Esther Okon, Tohibat Jimor, Jacinta Lawrence, and Patience Okon George successfully defended Nigeria's title in the event. Team Nigeria dominated the race, finishing comfortably ahead of Ethiopia and Kenya. The country concluded the championship with 4 gold, 5 silver, and 3 bronze medals. Nigeria finished 4th overall on the medals table behind Kenya, South Africa, and Ethiopia. You can visit our website on www.dominion.org.ng to watch us live and interact with us. You can also follow us across our social media platforms on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and LinkedIn at Dominion Broadcast and X at Dominioncast. And our end Daybreak news on Dominion Television. I am Anu Luakpo Ido. Thank you for watching.
Live from the heart of the action. Welcome to the nerve center of Next Level Broadcasting.
This is the OB van, where the studio meets the street.
Equipped with cutting-edge cameras, crystal clear audio, real-time switching, and broadcast control, we don't just capture moments, we deliver the experience live.
Anywhere, anytime, from stadiums to red carpets, breaking news to buzzing festivals, weddings, birthdays, and all sorts of ceremonies. We bring the world to your screen in real time.
It's not just a van, it's a complete mobile production house, a command center, a broadcast beast.
This is more than a broadcast. This is the OB van difference. Live, loud, limitless.
Ready to go live like never before? Book the OB van today and take your event to the world. One powerful broadcast at a time.
To book, call 0705 506 1061 or 0916 101 1061. Email marketing@dominion.org.ng or visit our socials on Instagram @Dominion Broadcast.
Dominion Broadcast, your channel of choice.
The president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, said security is closing in on Oyo Pupil's abductors. Meanwhile, the governor of the state, Engineer Seyi Makinde, also said he weighed in on the issue, and then he said that we wouldn't succumb to terror. And that's coming from the governor of the state. But all of these are promises that Nigerians, particularly your people, are expecting in the course of time to say, you have given your word. Let's have the reality. Let's have your word come to play. Let's have the walk in the talk. This situation was abysmal. We brought to you on several occasions how the abductors even killed one of the teachers right there, and it was very, very unfortunate. A gory sight, you would say, and you would agree. But we hope this will be the end of this in this state and any other states in the country. Nigeria. Of course, welcome to this segment of newspaper headlines and analysis, where we check into the print and bring you stories that are fresh from the print. And this morning would be like every other one, because the Nation newspaper is right here with me, as many other newspapers here with me. The Nation is what I start with, and that caption reads, Tinubu, security closing in on Oyo Pupil's abductors. Seyi Makinde says we won't succumb to terror. That's like the conversation right there, as you can see on the Nation newspaper. Also, Senate race, APC governors, 7 senators scale through. APC governors, 7 senators scale through. That's also one of the developments you can find also on the Nation newspaper this morning. Meanwhile, the sub-writer on this that says, Omoagige Nwoko Okorocha Ogun, deputy governor, faced return tickets for Akpabio, Barao, Bamidele, Lawan, others, Shekarau, Shehu, Sani, Okowa get nod. That's also one of the sub-writers on that story. Some people are sure to come back to service, and of course you can tell the names as we also continue to see what will become of the other ones that probably wouldn't get this or would get a nod. Whichever way, we'll keep our fingers crossed. Meanwhile, Ekiti Council workers pledged 200,000 votes for Oyebanji. Ekiti Council workers pledged 200,000 votes for Oyebanji. Also one of the story highlights and the high points of the Nation newspaper this morning, as you can find it right there. Dangote Refinery reduces aviation fuel price to 1.660 naira per liter. Also a conversation talking economics this morning, something of interest to every Nigerian because it concerns everybody in every sector. Meanwhile, for one of them, I'll switch my focus away from the Nation now to Nigerian Tribune newspaper this morning. And the Nigerian Tribune newspaper has the story of the Oyo school abduction on its front page. It says, we won't bow to terror. And that's coming from the governor himself, Governor Seyi Makinde, claiming that confirmed 7 teachers, 25 students abducted in 2 schools. Yes, says surveillance aircraft already in Lagos and undergoing final assembly. Coordinating center established at police headquarters for updates on rescue efforts. And kidnapped teacher beheaded. Protest rock Womoso. Students shun schools. Tinubu assures on rescue of kidnapped victims. Meanwhile, Khan Gbenga Hashim condemned abductions and demand urgent action. Also on the Oyo school abduction issue, page 2 and 3 of the Nigerian Tribune is where to catch up and read on this story. Meanwhile, the top corner of the Nigerian Tribune says, Osun government accord alleged planned arrest of officials and party leaders, seeks Tinubu's intervention. That is also something on the spotlight this morning. Page 21 of the Nigerian Tribune newspaper is where to catch up with that story. ADC screens Bindo Ogboru, Adegboyega, 67 other governorship aspirants. Also something to check out there, because of course you have to consider the influx of people from one party to the other and how it will affect eventually the party having to deal with who will be the best candidate to field from their party. But that's also one of the conversations right there. Rescheduled presidential screening to tomorrow. Oh yeah, that's about the ADC situation. Alleged national security breach. DSS witness narrates how El Rufai's TV interview sparked phone tapping investigation. Court grants ex-governor 100 million naira bail. That conversation is ongoing, and like we said this morning as well, there are many sides to the conversation, but I mean, let justice really have its full course on that issue, and let it not just be politicized. And that's what Nigerians are asking for. We don't need so many politicizing in this situation. If he was found guilty, And let it be so clear to the Nigerian people that yes, he said what he said because he was doing what he said he was doing. And that's also one of the conversations. Senate primaries, Uzodinma Abiodun Okowa, Bello pick APC ticket, also talking Senate and the election around the Senate. As we have it, comes 2027, everybody's gathering momentums everywhere. As we have it, Gubapo, Ekiti local government workers pledge to deliver 200,000 votes for Oyebamchi. Sometimes I wonder why people just give numbers to the votes they would give. But anyway, it's just their word against reality. We hope to see if that would be a reality for them. Just 2 cigarette daily raise heart failure risk by 50%. That's according to a study this morning. Some people would not like to read this kind of study, but anyway, if you need your health to still serve you, perhaps you should check into page 3 of the Nigerian Tribune newspaper to get that story. Yeah, taking a further look at other newspapers, particularly the Vanguard newspaper this morning. Okowa, Abiodun Uzodinma win, Nedun Okoje, others lose. That's about the APC Senate primaries. Maybe it's time to go for some of these lawmakers. Perhaps some are saying, perhaps it's time to start afresh. Maybe do something else ordinary. Different from what you've been doing before. Barao, Bello, Oshiomole, Kalu, others clinch return ticket. And of course, Jackridge, Banigo, Danagogo, 41 others disqualified. Drama, consensus protest, trail exercises. That is also one thing to see on the Vanguard newspaper this morning. Austrian government Accord party raised alarm over planned mass arrest of officials and leaders. Something you might want to check out also on the Vanguard newspaper this morning as well. And phone tapping charge. Court grants El-Rufai 100 million naira bill, allegedly rearrested by DSS. Anyway, jury begins deliberations in Alice Madri case alleged bribery trial. Page 6 of the Vanguard newspaper is where to catch up on that story. Ebola fears. Nigerian scientists want emergency border surveillance. That is also something to look out for. Presidency. Court sets May 26 to determine Jonathan's eligibility. I thought we are over this issue, but yes, you never can tell. When it's politics, things will keep unfolding. And as we have that development, it's like Jonathan is still willing to contest. Meanwhile, Obi emerges NDC's sole presidential aspirant. Maybe some would say at last for Peter Obi. After many movements, after many decamping and movements across the political spectrum. But yes, it's like something good has eventually happened for Peter Obi to emerge as the NDC's sole presidential aspirant. Well, of course, what would you say? Some would say, it's a no-brainer that this was going to happen. But we have other stories still making the rounds. The Punch newspaper has some stories of interest, particularly about the APC Senate primaries. Daniel Amosun, Rogers crash, Abiodun Uzodinma, Bello win. Or your abduction is also there on the Punch newspaper this morning. Outrage spreads after teachers beheading. And again, the food inflation spikes above 20% in 11 states. Also a story report that you can find on the Punch newspaper, and many other stories still going. Lagos shawarma vendor shot dead by suspected cultists. Wow, unfortunately. Tax reform. Federal government opens free dispute settlement channels. Meanwhile, on the foreign scene, U.S.-Iran crisis. Nigerian crude nears $120. That is the story, page 9. It's where to catch up on the story on the Punch newspaper. ADC screen 70 governorship aspirant for primaries. Also something to check out this morning. For want of time, we might need to shelve some of the stories coming straight and fresh from the print and look at the big story with Samson Balogun this morning. But that will be shortly after this break. Join us again.
Need a professional space to bring your vision to life? Dominion Television Studios offers state-of-the-art facilities perfect for your next broadcast, commercial, corporate video, or live event. With flexible rental options, cutting-edge equipment, and a supportive team, we provide the perfect environment for high-quality productions. Unleash your creativity. For bookings, email us at marketing@dominion.org.ng. Call us on 0705 506 1061 or 0916 101 1061. Check us out on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and TikTok at Dominion Broadcast and on X at Dominion Casts. Book your space today. Dominion Television, your channel of choice.
Live from the heart of the action. Welcome to the nerve center of Next Level Broadcasting.
This is the OB van, where the studio meets the street.
Equipped with cutting-edge cameras, crystal clear audio, real-time switching, and broadcast control, we don't just capture moments, we deliver the experience live.
Anywhere, anytime, from stadiums to red carpets, breaking news to buzzing festivals, weddings, birthdays, and all sorts of ceremonies. We bring the world to your screen in real time.
It's not just a van, it's a complete mobile production house, a command center, a broadcast beast.
This is more than a broadcast. This is the OB van difference. Live, loud, limitless.
Ready to go live? Like never before. Book the OB van today and take your event to the world. One powerful broadcast at a time.
To book, call 0705 506 1061 or 0916 101 1061. Email marketing@dominion.org.ng or visit our socials on Instagram at Dominion Broadcast.
Dominion Broadcast, your channel of choice.
All right, good morning and welcome to the big story on Daybreak Live. I am Samson Balogu, and today we'll take a critical look at the growing controversy surrounding the conduct of party primaries within the ruling party, All Progressives Congress, APC. Across several states, allegations of candidate imposition, manipulation, delegate list. Before now, we used to see that, but now they will have to vote by themselves, so every party member. And also talk about internal betrayals have continued to spark outrage among party members and supporters. While some insist that party supremacy must prevail for unity and electoral strength, others argue that democracy within political parties is being sacrificed on the altar of personal interest and political calculations. So, where should the line be drawn between loyalty and party decisions and fairness to party members? Is party supremacy becoming an excuse for political injustice? And what does this mean for Nigeria's democracy ahead of the future elections? And to help us dissect these issues, we are joined by no other than a public affairs analyst of repute and a human rights activist. She's been there for a long time and she's witnessed quite a number of elections and as an observer. Oluwakemi Ademola Aremo, popularly known as Comrade KT. So I'll bring her on board shortly. But then let me take this. Political parties remain the foundation of every democratic system. Ideally, Primary elections are expected to give party members the opportunity to freely choose candidates who will represent them at the polls. But in recent times, the process has increasingly generated controversy, especially within the All Progressives Congress. From protests by aggrieved aspirants to accusations of imposed candidates and disregard for internal democracy. So many Nigerians now question whether party primaries still reflect the will of the people or merely the wishes of powerful political actors. Supporters of party supremacy argue that every member must respect the final decision of the party leadership to maintain stability and avoid division. However, critics have a different opinion. They believe such arguments often silence genuine grievances and weaken democratic values. As tensions continue to rise within the party structures across the country, the debate remains: is this truly party discipline or political betrayal disguised as loyalty? Now, before I bring Comrade Katie on board, there was a particular incident that happened during the primary elections over the weekend about the House of Representatives primaries. Honorable Tosin Pella, the younger brother to Honorable Shino Pella, had this to say. Let's watch this video and we'll be back.
Ọlọ́ ti pín sleep ọmọ yín lèmi o ẹ̀yin lẹni gbogbo wa wọ́n fún mi sleep o mo ti di chairman dẹ̀ sọ fún mi pé sleep tó kó fáwọn láti state làwọn ti pín tán mo ní election lẹ́nu wọ́n fún mi ní sleep mo sọ o mo bí yín pé sleep dà ẹ sọ pé kò tiẹ̀ sleep mi kọ́ lélẹ̀. sleep àgbà sleep yín náà. níbo. kò sáni bọ̀ tó kún mi sí ọkọ̀ ọmọ mi yín sí ìgbà sọ fún mi pé kò sí sleep pé kan tó wà láti state ẹ ti pín tán. báyìí mọ̀ pé mo fẹ́ dìbò lẹ́nu ó yẹ kí wọ́n pé sleep mi wà lẹ̀ ẹ̀yin lẹ́ni wá torí ẹ̀ máa fi ṣe chairman wọ̀. ẹgbẹ́ gba sleep mi lẹ́yìn ọ̀sán ènìyàn gbà yẹn. chairman ẹ̀yin di leader wa bíbá yìí. mo mọ̀ tí mo bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ìgbà náà. ilé wa lélẹ̀ náà àjọ mama àjọ níyìn ni ẹjọ ni wá ni kò jẹ́ kí n bí wọ́n pé sleep tí wọ́n fi dìbò dà tẹ́wọ́ sọ pé ìkọ̀tọ́ kó wá láti state ẹ ti pin tán wọ́n ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀ yẹn torí ìlànà ṣe ń jà o torí ẹ̀yin ìyá torí ẹ̀yin bàbá torí ìlànà ṣe ń jà bàbá dúró sàbújá a máa live life wa lọ táàbà wá ní wá tọ́jú ẹ̀yìn aláwọ̀ ọmọ tó jẹ́ àwọn àbúrò wa tó ń text wa lórí Facebook náà ràn lọ́wọ́ láti ṣe empowerment fún báwo mo ṣe máa wá sínú wọ́ọ̀dì mi nílé mi pé mo fẹ́ wá dìbò ẹ wá sọ fún pé kò sí slip wá fún mi pé slip tó kó fún yín láti tẹ̀tẹ̀ ti pin tán rárá kò jẹ́ kó rí bẹ́ẹ̀ yẹn kò jẹ́ kó rí bẹ́ẹ̀ yẹn.
All right, welcome back from that short break. Comrade Katie.
Yes.
Good to have you in the studio.
It's so good to be here, though it's a very sad day for me because of what is happening in your state. But yes, it's good to be here.
So, you watched that video.
Yes.
What do you make of it?
Grievance. I see a man standing up to ask for his right.
A man that has been mailed.
Yeah. You know, like he said, he's been involved in several empowerments before now. He can keep doing what he's doing. Look, the will of the people can never be subverted if the people are determined. So if they think he's the man they want, they would go for him. And that is why you see a lot of crisscrossing and stuff like that. But the first thing you have to do is prove yourself to the electorate. You'll be shocked. Everything the party is doing is to bring resources together to be meaningful to the community. So when the voters are highly educated and understand the game, you'll be surprised they'll vote whoever they want.
So, very quickly, I want us to do an analysis of what the faith of a son of nobody looks like in the established political parties in Nigeria and as compared to the eyes and mighty. We will check a video of how Opus Odima defeated Rocha Sokorocha to become the senatorial candidate of his senatorial district, and that of Senate President Godswill Akpabio. These are the same people that were there, that are still there, and are still coming back. Let's see that of Opus Odima, and we'll be back shortly. Okay, that was Opus Odema. There was no other line. It was just Opus Odema. Let's now listen to what Gosel Akpabio had to say, and then we'll do an analysis shortly in the studio before we go.
The people that were sent in from the national headquarters of our party in Abuja to come and conduct this exercise. I've seen members of the civil society organizations who are here also to observe what is going on. I want to thank you that in the whole senatorial district in my party, I am the sole candidate. I happen to be just before now, I was the sole aspirant. But after your vote here, I'm now the sole candidate. I want to say to God be the glory. I pledge to continue to make you proud. I pledge to work with our president, whom I know that you are also going to elect.
All right, so welcome back. Comrade Katie, do you think the recently conducted primary elections in the APC, one was out yesterday, one over the weekend, do you think it truly reflects internal party democracy in Nigeria?
You know, I think that when you have the kind of citizenry composition that we have in Nigeria, highly uninformed, highly frightened, and the supposition that a particular party is going to really win. So everybody wants to get on that band, okay? So it is not about serving. We should all remind ourselves, the essence of a political party is a group of people, a coalition of people that are like-minded, that have the same ideology about how a society should run. A group of people that have that are united to define policy decision. So you are assuming that we all are pursuing the same goal, but we need our number, the majority, to really come to bear on what we are experiencing in our nation. In fact, political parties should be people that are conscious, strong, understanding, highly grounded in theories of how societies develop and how to create peace. It's so simple. How to advance the population, the citizenry. But in a situation where you have a group of vultures, I'm not, vulture is very, very important. It's to pick up carcasses. Okay? So I'm not using that apologetically. I'm saying the way Nigeria is being treated and Nigerians are being treated, too many Nigerians are already disenfranchised. It is not a game of gladiators. And what do gladiators do? They bruise, they kick, they hit and hurt themselves. So we are a people that have been socialized into negative competition. In the past, we had our regions and there was positive competition. Nigerians are a people that are highly, highly opinionated. What I mean is that if you told Nigeria, oh, these ones are producing cocoa, then what can we also produce? Let's produce groundnut. That is positive competition. Unfortunately, we've allowed ourselves to become negatively competitive now. That means shoot him down, kick him, so that I can get there. Now, what are you going to do when you get there? That is the real problem.
So at what point does primary party supremacy becomes oppression, suppression, betrayal? At what point do we have that?
No, it is just a reflection of what is valued. Can you remember when Nigerians decided that money was everything? Yes, it means it's the money bags that will occupy positions. So even if you're talking and you don't have the ability to perform what you're saying, so how do you become relevant? And when we think empowerment is dashing people motorbikes, so it means it's the man that has the ability to buy motorbikes that will do it, or you grinding machines for women or tricycles. We're doing that tokenism. We are not thinking, and I've said it, it's only in Nigeria that I see a lot of people bring money together to fragment. Usually, if you brought your little pieces, that is the essence of taxation. Everybody brings something. Then we generate a pool of funds that can be used to advance infrastructure, to advance productivity by building cottages and industries, industrialization of local government area. Is that not what it's all supposed to be? So it is just what we are saying to is a reflection of do or die politics, seeking for a position, not because you're going there to serve people, but because you want to show that you have also conquered this mountain. So that is what it's all about. It's a reflection of the society.
So let me take you back a little bit. Why are allegations of imposition becoming the order of the day in Nigeria?
Yes, because what the political party really does is to screen out candidates and decide on the science of it. Look at it. We stand a better chance of ruling if we bring these two people, these human beings, the selected ones.
So does that include competence, academic qualification?
No,
exposure?
No. The academic qualification is a deception in Nigeria. Yes, because you've heard, and I think like last month, when they declared that 60% of graduates were not qualified to be responsible. Employable. Now, 2006, I started that the last graduate graduated in 1995. Do you get the idea? Because we're seeing that people are not going to school to learn to solve a problem. So we need to change our mind. It's the mindset. Pass. It's looking at the problem in your community, not the theories propounded in other nations. What are the problems in my community? What are the threats to the people in my community? What model can I bring out to solve those problems? It's so simple. It's not rocket science. But when your heart is not for the people, you don't even know who the poor people are. You've been living abroad for so long, and you think, hey, they're doing it right in a strange land. You're just coming to superimpose that model on the community. You're not part of the community. But if you had lived in the community, observe the problem even as a child, and there's a desire in you to acquire knowledge to solve that problem. We should be problem solvers, but no, we are people that are positioned just to, sit on people. And I was watching those politicians anyway. I saw their tummy and I'm thinking, this people should go for a liver function test. I'm seeing it. I'm just observing and thinking, wow, we need a healthy generation. Okay? So that simply tells you that somebody is not paying attention to himself and his room and is thinking there's a solution somewhere else. It's just typical example. Now, a young man has been reaching out to people in his generation on network, the Peter guy, the Pella guy. And he has been empowering people that he didn't know, influencing his community through the social media and everything, had contact. It's a real lot of contact. Right. And he felt he had a very good opportunity. Now, the older ones understood that if this guy gets his sleep, he gets to vote for himself. And he's telling the women, it's because of you we're fighting, because generations unborn are coming up. He's stating his positioning. He had worked, but now he has been blocked strategically. So it is not a strange thing for people.
Are there usually direct or deliberate attempts to skim some people out of...
oh, definitely. Money? You could be popular.
How much damage can that do to a country like Nigeria?
No, it is still the voters. Look, it does not matter whether you like to put people behind the screen. If we desire that person, we can still vote. That is the essence of voting. Nobody says it must be your candidate. And that's why people are going to other nondescript political parties. And I'm telling you, please understand, whatever political party is registered, stay your ground if you know what you're doing and serve the people. Once you serve the people, they will reward you.
So do you think aggrieved aspirants have genuine reason to protest, or some are just bad losers?
I'll say that should be left to posterity. You could be aggrieved because you're a bad loser. You could be aggrieved because you've not been given a fair chance. But fair is personal. That is why we're saying personal interest. Nigeria is growing. The democratic system is growing. People are just beginning to pay attention to the democratic structures of Nigeria. People are just beginning to see that even dead men could rule Nigeria for some time too. So they are not thinking that position is a lofty position where you risk anything. They're thinking it's a place where you get to and you gain everything without doing much. That anybody could just be a thug and really get there. Do you see what I'm saying? They're thinking brown power. But over time, and I hope we speed it up, over time you see genuine democracy emerge. Because the people you want to rule over, we have a quality of mind that cannot be deceived. We're beginning to see that difference in different states now. People now are busy trying to throw up legitimate, winnable candidates because they're seeing that Nigerian community is changing. So it is the voters that must change first. When you demand higher response, from your leadership, they are forced to go to the books and find out what works. And we have to understand, books is all about concepts. There are different concepts. I could be thinking of this, you could be thinking of that. Do you understand it? So that is why we are bringing different ideologies to the table. I say, I think this is the way to go forward. And I want to put something to you. In times past, UPN versus MPN. MPN won some states, UPN won some states. Right. In the states of UPN, they operated, that means like pilot study, showcased what a state would look like if they implemented their policies. And people saw the difference in states where they had different ideologies and this one. So that's what opposition should be doing. When Labour Party won some seats, I expected them, even if it was just one word, demonstrate that the policy you're bringing to the table works in that particular ward. Nobody will tell you the neighboring ward to choose the same person next time. So we are a people that have not been investment minded. We've not demonstrated, we've not walked through our theories. Instead, we've chosen propaganda, disinformation to confuse people. Now they are confusable. By the time the people become so adept, and that's what I'm calling on CSOs, please, let's do our job. I'm calling on conscientious Nigerians, let's do our job. Simply tell the people, this is the definition of a political party. This is what a state is all about, increasing our lifespan expectancy, which is dropping daily in Nigeria. Improving on our security of our food system, and then demonstrate what you're saying, because we need things to be showcased. Then when you convince one company, you go to the next. For example, Fintiri, and I can say that I'll speak for that man anywhere. If you go to Yola, you see what he did. Okay? And that's a man I'm hoping will be made the Minister of Works in Nigeria. Okay? It was a man that after he was done in the office, neighboring state was saying, please, we don't care whether you are indigenous or not. No. Come and be our next governor. Do you see what I'm saying? Right. He's demonstrated. We saw a Fashola in Lagos. When Fashola came up, he demonstrated what he had in mind. It was very tough about the environmental laws. Then the next thing, when he called for taxation, people gladly went to pay tax on their own volition because he had demonstrated. Yes! So why would you not be patient? Any opportunity, even if all you have is your classroom and you're doing what is right, everybody gets to reward you with more work, more position. But people are not willing to work through that. They now want to, okay, the people want rice. Then big billboards, imposing billboards. Why? The same way you sold alcohol to the Nigerian population by imposing advertisements and billboards, confusing their minds. So it's because the people are not properly educated, not properly informed, that they are liable to such. And that is why we fight for education. Okay, you have mentioned quite a number of names that you feel like they had served while they served their different states. Now, we had a Dr. Fashino too that served. Okay, how does a manipulated and controversial primary affect voter confidence in an election? No, we're not there now. The voters are still out. What is happening is the party politics. If the government had not forced, the Electoral Act, they must follow Electoral Act anyway, had not forced them to register their members, I already knew some people, potential voters who are party members, who were in 3 parties. Whichever way the broom fell, they would go for, okay? So they had already started. I heard them, where we are on the field. I heard them saying, I will teach you how to be in 3 political parties at the same time. But when the Electoral Act said, you must provide your name for proper registration and proper documentation, that changed the game. And if you look at the voting pattern in Nigeria, it's political party members that really vote most of the time. Right. So now, if the Nigerian populace go there, you will stagger the status. Because now, it's not enough to just distribute money to party members at ward level, give them forms and never fulfill your promises. Everybody in Nigeria should think of how to join one. So if we are all there, there's nothing hidden. And it is more power to the people. So when you obey, I would say, democratic practices at home, okay, this is where the whole thing comes from. If at home people can speak and you can say, no, I don't agree with this, and then you move on to the next level in the community, that is the ward level, and people are used to freedom of speech. Because we came from meritocracy and we moved to civilian dictatorship. We are yet to enter democracy. Yes, that is it. So it is a phase, it's an evolving phase. Before, Nigerians were afraid of anything in uniform. Okay? Now they're beginning to say, please, I know my rights. You see, we are growing. But unfortunately, somebody needs to invest for activation, more, a more speed, rate of reaction in the process. So we are growing. Okay. We are growing. But I think if you're really too desperate, you cannot be a leader. Okay, with what you have seen so far,
in Nigeria, especially with the APC? Do you foresee any form of internal crisis before the 2027 general elections?
No, it's not crisis. If I looked at 2022 newspapers, PDP was having the same. So it is a group of people. Some of people are beginning to show, because of the pain we're going through, some are thinking, let's go there and do it right. We have the ability to do it right. And that's why you're seeing this nepotism coming up. A situation where the brother of somebody, the sister of somebody. Are we going to another level of aristocracy? Nigeria is yet to experience true freedom, where any man, like you mentioned earlier, anybody that was a child of nobody with a good head could come up. But we have to understand, being a child of somebody is a resource. Yes, it is a resource. It is also ability to draw on social structures and to improve. So it is a form of grooming. It is saying that there's a social capital when you are brother or sister or someone. So in our reality, I'll say we're growing. And I'm also thinking the APC is hot because the chance of evolving under APC is quite high in Nigeria. Okay. Power of incumbency, then the sagacity and the organization in that group. And I want to say the opposition has not been too smart as far as I'm concerned, because now President Jonathan is coming up. Yes, because they are fragmenting opposition. Okay? They are fragmenting opposition. If you want to really win, you come up with
a strategy to bring everyone together.
Yes, but because their point of opposition had not been policy-based.
Okay, let's now look at, since you mentioned it, before we go back to what we're discussing, the way the opposition is fragmented, Seyi Makinde is coming out under APM to run for presidency in Nigeria. That is a southwesterner. Jonathan under the PDP as their sole candidate. That's a south-southerner. And there isn't really
coordinated
effort. And Atiku Abubakar will most likely, or Rotimi Amici will most likely get the ticket of the ADC. You are so sure of that?
Is that man that is hungry for opposition? Not that he has not lost for primaries. He has what greedy people want to move things. And
he has the ability to bankroll everyone.
Everything in that place. And everybody knows that's what he wants. So when
was that why Peter Obi left the party? He knew it wasn't sure for him to get the party ticket.
I also think, and sincerely, I'm speaking to Nigerians, and I'm a Nigerian, saying that what I expected Peter Obi to have done, okay, is that the words they won, the seats they won, they would have maintained their seats and demonstrated what they wanted to do.
So now that you mentioned that, does Peter Obi have the capacity? Does he have the capacity to rule a country like Nigeria if he could not maintain what he had in Labour Party?
He could not build a party. And go and check his antecedents in Anambra State. I'm dispassionate. I'm a comrade. And I've been a comrade since I was a very young child. So for us, we fought the military, okay? We've always asked for a free Nigeria where people can express themselves, equity and everything. A nation where no man is oppressed. So that's what I stand for. But I also am disciplined enough to be dispassionate about reality. If you cannot build a party, you cannot build a nation. And you will see what the level of crisis that may emerge over time. And now, if they cannot build a united front, and the only thing I've never heard them put up counter policies. Okay? No, I've never. All I know Atiku talks about and has stood for, even when... No, that is the new one. Okay. Before, it was always privatization. Okay? What was public property going into private hands? Because you're thinking the public right, which is the right of the poor man or a child of nobody, to spaces where they could demonstrate their sagacity and natural intelligence and ability to be able to engage in governance. He's going to get rid of that. So that means there's no hope again for such people. If I think of an Obi, you were given a party on a platter of gold, Labour Party, okay? And you could not build that. So what do you think will happen? Especially now that you're having a lot of emotional people in the movement, you know? We will go wherever it goes. We just want it. A nation is not built on emotions. A nation is built on planning. I put it to you now, the listener. In what way? How productive are you? I've not seen people even maintain their father's houses. Okay? I've not seen people commit themselves to study. And this is my challenge. Please, if the educational system is not functioning, ask yourself, what books did those old men read? that created a Nigeria where a standard 6 stood a high chance of employment than the graduates of today. And the so-called people that go to school and learn nothing and just get the piece of paper to showcase and file with EFCC. Do you see what I'm trying to say? Are we a people that want to solve problem? Do you see women running from home, fathers running from home? Who now owns the home? Who will groom the future, the generation unborn? It will be born, anything that involves birthing. And that's the concepts are conceptions, you know. Right. You want to birth a good nation. You're going to have to work. You cannot leave that job to another person. You want security in your community, you will have to deploy your time 24/7. Every human being is created equal. It is based on what you do with your time. Do you feel the pain of your people? Do you have a plan for your people? You that you're listening, you. In what way have you built anything? We need builders to build the foundation of this nation. We need to go into another level of seeking independence. Independent governance. You govern yourself first. How do you manage your 24/7 hours? How do you look at people that work hard? How do you look at equity? How do you understand the pain of the vulnerable? That is what we're talking about. So it's beyond us now. Looking at the political class, are they doing that? Are they not doing that? Who created them? The society threw them up. So if you like lies, if you're thinking I cannot waste my vote, that means you're not fixed on idealism. And I'm also thinking these political parties, they should please give us to every station, they should please submit their manifesto. That's what I'm thinking. Because beyond looking for craftsmen that will help them write their speeches, let us get their manifesto. So people like us can help us critique this situation. So sometimes when you hear a feedback, maybe they will adjust their minds. But Nigeria needs help. 255 million people are running, are perishing. Please, we need leaders that will save a nation. And leaders that will be fair and just. So beyond going to think of our position where you want to sit, when you get to that position of power, you have a job to do. So that is the core. It's beyond criticism, sitting back in your bedroom and throwing a line on Twitter. On social media. Yes.
And elections are not won on social media.
They're not won there. And then creating the worst thing that I see now is when there are conferences or seminars, they even tell speakers, please, just 15 minutes, our time is running up. Where are they going to? When there is fire on the roof, where are you running to? You need a strategy. You need a plan. You need conviction. You know, you've looked at the theories, and there are different schools of thought, and everything has been thrown at you. You need to sit down, internalize, ruminate, and produce a service or product for the people. Now, Nigerians are running helter-skelter. How does a running man gather any moss?
Okay, in 30 seconds, what policy do you think should be prioritized so that primary elections will be something that the judiciary will not have to interfere anymore?
No, I think we should mind our business. The voters should let the political parties slug it out. Okay? If they like, let them crash their party. Do you get it? Then you vote for somebody else. Our duty is the voting point. If you're not a politician right now, and you are in your party, let them do what they want to do. You just watch. Watch now is observation. If they cannot control their party, if there is nothing good in their party, then they have nothing to deliver to you. Please, whoever gets there has secured his own life, already plans what he's going to do with the system. You are going to be the victim of the rulership. So let us know our positioning. As our strength as voters is to vote. So watch them play and don't be a party freak. If the wrong person comes up, don't vote him. It's simple.
Well, Comrade Katie, thank you for joining us in the studio this morning.
Thank you for having me.
It has been an eye-opening session with you, and we do hope to bring you back some other time to talk about interesting issues that relate with Nigerians. And
thank you.
The debates over party supremacy and internal democracy is one that goes beyond the All Progressives Congress alone. It raises deeper questions about transparency, fairness, accountability, and the future of Nigeria's democratic culture. If political parties fail to provide credible, inclusive process, internal, of course, during the party primaries and internally, many fear that larger democratic process itself could suffer, just like Comrade Kreti, said earlier. At the same time, unity within parties remains crucial for political stability and electoral success. Many thanks to our guest, Oluwakemi Ademola Aremo, Comrade Katie, for sharing valuable insights on this important national conversation. And to our viewers out there, thank you for staying tuned. And of course, thank you for staying with us on The Big Story. I'm Samson Balogu. Stay informed, stay engaged, and keep believing in the power of constructive dialogue. Have a wonderful day.
Need a professional space to bring your vision to life? Dominion Television Studios offers state-of-the-art facilities perfect for your next broadcast, commercial, corporate video, or live event. With flexible rental options, cutting-edge equipment, and a supportive team, we provide the perfect environment for high-quality productions. Unleash your creativity. For bookings, email us at marketing@dominion.org.ng. Call us on 0705 506 1061 or 0916 101 1061. Check us out on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and TikTok at Dominion Broadcast and on X at Dominioncast. Book your space today. Dominion Television, your channel of choice.
We thank you for staying tuned. Of course, now straight to Trend Watch to see what's trending across the country, Nigeria. And this time around, it's politics. And meanwhile, some persons are already saying that if it's politics, then who is on the ballot? You don't want to know the person that is on the ballot is Peter Obi. Peter Obi becomes sole presidential aspirant for Nigeria's NDC ahead of 2027. Just a brief into that story is that the NDC closed its sales for the 2027 presidential nomination forms on May 17, which was the day before yesterday, and then with only Peter Obi purchasing them through a team led by Princess Adagwu. The party recently registered and led by Senator Henry Seriake Dixon zoned the slot to the south, fitting Obi's background after he left the Labour Party and joined the NDC with Robbie Ukokwanso in early May. Obi's backers, the Obedient, celebrated the news online, while critics point to the party's small size and low interest in other forms as the sole buyer. Obi could skip primaries if cleared during screening from May 19 to 26, and that's the conversation. Some have said, so if you claim to look for change, if you claim to want what they call democracy, why are you not practicing democracy at the very lowest level of governance from the party primary structure in the NDC? But this seems like what Peter Obi has been looking for. I want my name on the presidential ballot come what may 2027, and yes, he has that now, and so maybe it's a plus for him. But other people are saying that why would he not be contested for? Why don't you have a free, fair, and credible election at the lower level of the politics in your party, instead of just being the only person that is going to be fielded for the election? But some would say perhaps he has the strength, he has the pedigree, he has the prominence, he has everything, even maybe the resources to pull that weight in the party. But here we are, Samson, Peter Obi on the ballot.
Well, congratulations to Mr. Peter Obi of NDC now, formerly of ABGA, PDP,
Labour Party,
ADC, and now NDC. A big congratulations to him. This is his lifelong ambition, and that he already has. What I would really not like is that anyone would now blame President Bola Ahmed Tinubu for using the tagline Emelokon the other time, because obviously this is another Emelokon in in plain sight, who has not really said the word, but obviously his actions actually speaks volume of what he actually wants for himself. If you check history, and often you realize the fact that he has never really fought for anything. Most of the things he's had has been handed over to him. According to history and reports, it was Chukwemeka Odumegwu, the Ikemba himself, that brought Peter Obi to Anambra to run for the office of governor. And he ran unopposed in that political party and eventually won an election. On the back, riding on the, what you call the heels of the Odumegwu himself. And also, when he left the party, he also moved to the PDP. And when he went to the PDP, that's the only party he really did not do anything because he realized he could not really do so much in that political party. And he left. He got to the Labour Party. Of course, it was handed over to you are welcome, and this is it. And he ran for the office of president. He went to the ADC. Look at Rotimi Amechi. He had options. He could have gone to PRP. He could have gone to any other political party where, of course, but he still stood in that party and said, look, we are going to slug it out. And if I lose, I lose. Just like people will say on the street, if I perish, I perish. Of course, I'm still going to fight till the end. But Peter Obi said no. He left and he went to NDC. And what did you have in NDC? He really got there, he purchased his own firm, it was closed. No one else that was part of the negotiations that were made with Peter Obi. Now, the problem is not really about if he got the ticket on the platter and if it's been offered to him as the sole candidate. The problem is he has also mentioned that he's going to be there for just one term of 4 years. And if, for any reason, he wins that election, I don't want to believe that Peter Obi will say, oh, I've done 4 years, I'm not coming back. Because I know human beings are insatiable. You can never satisfy them, especially when it comes to power. Definitely would want more. Look at Goodluck Ebele Jonathan. He finished the tenure of his principal at that time, who was Umaru Musa Yar'Adua, who passed on. And after he's done with the less than 2 years or thereabouts, he proceeded and, of course, he won that election. He still wanted more.
He's still wanting more.
He's still wanting more. So it tells you what power can do to you as a human being. If you are not careful, you become a monster that you criticize. And with the way Peter Obi is looking for the ticket and looking for power, it speaks volumes of what he wants and how he wants to achieve it. My own fear is that he has successfully, built an army of bullies on social media. Okay, these are people that would they will ask for your head the moment you criticize their principle, the moment you talk about realities. And that this should not be so. As an obedient, your job is to defend your principle, yes, but your job is not to put other people down and criticize them and bully them, say a lot of things. And they have even gone tribal about this criticism. They have gone religious. Religious sentiment has been put in place to make it look like, oh, we are Christians, we are supporting Peter Obi. Who told you Tinubu was never in a church? Who told you Rabbi Musa Kwankwaso has never been invited to a church? And who even told you that the Senate President, who is a Catholic, has not been to a mosque? Right? These things are, we should not take it out of control. And we really need to be moderate about how we do things. But for NDC, congratulations to them. For Peter Obi, congratulations to you. But what I do not want to hear at the end of the day is that, oh, you came third, and you are now saying you won an election that you came third. That I don't think it is explainable. The only person that should be complaining about, I won, it should be the person that came second in an election. You feel like you are so close, and you probably had a chance, maybe due to some skirmishes in one place or the other. You think you had a chance, and you want to contest that in court. But how come someone who came third or maybe fourth says, oh, I am the one that won? What happened to the votes that the second person got? So we should really understand what we are doing. Now that we have a clear path of what the 2027 general elections will look like, and for the APC, they have President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. NDC has Peter Obi now. The ADC is still not quite sure, but most likely, according to Komriketi, most likely going to be Atiku Abubakar. For the PDP, sole candidates will be Goodluck Ebele Jonathan. Congratulations. Let's go to the polls. And of course, you have to do the needful. It's a convenient place to leave this, but let's take just one comment before we go. I think Solis 2 minutes says it has always been about a free ticket. Okay, and people will always have a reason to say one or two things. And Olatunji Olawale says that is what he wanted. Just look at Amechi battling it out with Atiku Abubakar and did the same in APC against the cabal, as Tinubu did the same thing against the cabal in the APC. I think, yes, these are really reasonable responses to all of this going on. They speak volume of how people think of Peter Obi now as a presidential candidate. Well, it's a convenient point to leave this topic this morning. We say thank you for being a part of the show so far. Do not forget to join us again tomorrow, another interesting edition of Daybreak Live on Dominion Television. The midweek edition, same old, same station. As I always say, security business is everybody's business. If you say something, say something. And I want to use this opportunity to implore the Oyo State government to really swing into action, maybe do more, as lives are being wasted, especially the ones that were kidnapped in Ogolua local government. I mean, that's for me, Orire local government rather. That for me says a lot about how porous our borders are, especially in the southwestern part of Nigeria. And the governor really needs to swing into action. Helicopters were procured recently, and this is the time to put it to good use for surveillance purposes in Oyo State. Samson Balogun is my name. Join us again tomorrow. Bye for now.
And Amanulu Akpoido, thank you very much for staying with us. Same time, same station tomorrow, and bye for now.